everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this week's reading vlog. So last weekend was all about the sequels, with it being the first round of the Final Book Support Group in 2023. And it was the one and only readathon that I was really taking a concentrated part in. I am doing Be Sure-a-thon, but I'm doing it very, very loosely. I'm just going to see if I can check off squares as I go with whatever I want to read, and I will try to remember to mention at the end of January in my vlog that wraps up January what prompts I completed and like the path that I took around the board. But other than that, all of that is out of the way, which means I can just look at my TBR and read whatever I want in whatever order I want. And after the craziness that was December, it is much needed. So my plans for this week are to finish the Seekers series. I'm on page 132, so it won't take me long to finish that. I might even be able to finish that tonight. And seeing that it's Monday evening, I wanted to mention that I actually read last night before bed. I just hadn't filmed and started this vlog yet. So I've already got some updates for you. First off, I finished Flame in the Mist by Renee Ahdieh, and I'm giving this book 3.75 stars. I actually ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I was going to. So in this book, we're following Mariko, who is the only daughter of a prominent samurai and has kind of been raised just for marriage, and she is on the way to meet her betrothed when she ends up getting ambushed. All of the people that are with her are killed, and she manages to survive, and she believes that the Black Clan is the culprit. So she pretends to be a boy and tries to infiltrate the Black Clan in order to prove that they were behind the attack and to find out their reasoning and why somebody wanted her dead. And along the way, hopefully get some revenge. Once there, however, she ends up growing to care about the members of the Black Clan and seeing them in a different light. And it definitely makes some conflict for Mariko, as she is then unsure as to what she's going to do. Also, while with the Black Clan, she learns some things, and it definitely changes her viewpoint about the world that she lives in, herself, and the things that she wants out of life. So this is also set, it says, against the backdrop of feudal Japan. So it definitely has a lot of cultural references in that regard, which I thought were very, very interesting, and also made me very, very glad that I had the audiobook, because I would have stumbled over so many words and not known how to pronounce them. And with the audiobook, they did all that for me. So this was my book for Bookopoly that I got for a chance, and it would have been one of the books I didn't want to read, but I'm actually really, really glad I did. It is one that I have looked at multiple times on my TBR and thought about unhauling it, and I'm glad that I didn't and I ended up reading it. It will be a series I continue because the ending makes me want to know what is going to happen next and find out how Mariko's story progresses from here. So I will definitely be picking up book 2 at some point. Then I started Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. I got through the first 2 chapters, so I'm on page 32, so I don't really have much to say yet. I think we're still kind of setting up the story and getting the gist of things, but I'm intrigued. It definitely feels like it may have elements of adult fantasy that I really, really enjoy, so I'm hoping I end up enjoying it. And I've got some good feelings, at least based on the first couple chapters. And then I picked up The Witch, the Sword, and the Cursed Knights. I am now on page 38, so I made a little bit of progress in this, and we're following 2 points of view. We have Ellie, who is part fairy, part witch, I believe, and she ends up getting drafted for the Knights of the Round Table, and she does not want to be part of the Knights of the Round Table. She doesn't want to be part witch either. She just wants to be a fairy and to be able to go to the Fairy Godmother Academy. And then our other POV is Caedmon, C-A-E-D-M-O-N. I'm going to say Caedmon because I have no idea how to pronounce that name, but we might as well go with one specific pronunciation. So Caedmon, and he is from our world. Non-magical world has no idea that these realms exist. And he also gets drafted to the Knights of the Round Table, and he's recently lost his best friend and is struggling. So yeah, that's all I know about this book so far, is that we've got Ellie, who wants to be part of the Fairy Godmother Academy and does not like the fact that she has witch blood and does not want to join the Knights of the Round Table. And then Caedmon, who has no idea that any of this exists and who lost his best friend recently and is struggling. So we shall see. So far, I'm enjoying it. But like I said, I'm only 38 pages in. So who knows where it'll go from here. Do you want to say hi, Beanie? Say hi. Hi. It's a beaner. you can go night-nights. Oh, big yawns. I think she's ready for a nap, and I want to go read. So I think I will check back in with you later, and my focus is going to be finishing this and working on these. So we'll see how I do this week. So this was a vlog fail. It's now Monday, which means it's time to wrap this vlog up, and I haven't filmed anything for it. There are two main reasons for that. One is, if you've been paying attention to my channel, you will have seen that I am slowly but surely catching up with vlogs. I have had a backlog on my phone, and I just got into a mood where I was editing and churning everything out this week, so I kind of rolled with it. And the other reason is that I felt like I didn't read much of anything, so I had nothing to talk about. And that was until Hi! We have our regular helper here to make this video more interesting. Anyways, it wasn't until I stacked everything up that I realized just kind of how much I read. I'm going to start with the reason I felt like I didn't read much, and that's because I started to read The Eye of the World. I am on page 422, so I'm a little over halfway, and I feel like I've been reading this book for, like, weeks now, and not in a bad way. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way, just that, like, I'm enjoying every second that I'm reading it, but it feels like it's taking ages to read because of how thick it is. So, like, I would feel like I read a lot, but then I would realize that I'd only read like 100 pages in this. I'm not even quite sure how to describe it. So we're mainly following these like 3 boys, Rand, Mat, and Perrin, and the Dark One is after them. So they've kind of had to flee their hometown, and they do so with some other people whose points of view we get as well. And I'm really, really, really enjoying it so far. A lot more than I thought I was going to. I'm never sure when I pick up an adult fantasy whether I'm actually going to like it or not, but so far I'm enjoying this one, and I just kind of want to sit and read it, but alas, I've had other things to do. The second thing I think I'm going to mention is that I started Me Before You. I think I listened to the first 2 chapters in the audiobook, and I decided to DNF it because I was not enjoying it. We're following this woman named Louisa, and she, according to the back, takes a badly needed job working for ex-Master of the Universe, Will Traynor, who is in a wheelchair after an accident. And just the way they were talking about Will before they'd even met him, and talking about people in wheelchairs, just really, really, really bothered me. And so I went to check the reviews to see if that was going to be a thing, or if they were going to address the language that the characters were choosing to use. And I saw enough spoilers about what happened in this book to know that it is not the book for me. So I DNF'd it because it's not a book I'm going to want to read. So that was an easy decision. Next, I read Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick. This is her, like, memoir. And I'm giving this 3.5 stars. I wasn't the hugest fan of this. It kind of, I don't know, bounces around a lot and feels very superficial in a lot of ways. I mean, in some ways, she is extremely open, and in others, it feels like she kind of glossed over things, and it's not the way I would normally expect a kind of memoir, autobiography, etc. to kind of work. It's basically just little essays about different snippets in her life, and sometimes she comes off very annoying. I will say I listened to the audiobook of this, and I can listen to some audiobooks at 4 times speed. I could not go over like 2.25 because she speaks so incredibly fast. She read it herself. And the other point of this is she voices Poppy in the Trolls. And I've watched the Trolls movies so many times that as I was listening to this, I kept picturing Poppy the Troll instead of Anna Kendrick. So that was also a little trippy. I don't know. I definitely found her more likable before I read this. And it wasn't really my favorite. And I don't know. I just usually expect a different kind of autobiography when I'm reading something where somebody's written about their own life. And this didn't give me what I was looking for, so it wasn't my favorite. Next, I read Murder Most Howl by Krista Davis, which is the 3rd book, I believe, in the Paws and Claws mystery series. And I gave this 3.75 stars. In this series, we're following Holly, who helps to run an inn with her Graham, and it caters to pets. And in this one, she and some other people in town have created this like murder mystery thing that people are coming to town to solve. And somebody ends up dead, and she has to kind of figure out who it is because clues to who ended up dead are ending up part of the murder mystery. I enjoyed this. It was a decent addition to the series. I like Holly, and it took me a little bit to get back into the groove of things because I believe I read the 2nd book for my fall covers in 2021, so it had been a while. So there was also a part of time where I was like jogging my memory on who the characters were in the setting and stuff like that. So I think that is part of why my rating isn't a little bit higher, but I enjoyed the mystery. I liked the idea of having this murder mystery go on that Holly and co planned, and then at the same time trying to investigate this real murder that happened during this and the two kind of crossing ways. I did not figure out who the killer was. I was really surprised by the reveal in the end. It definitely caught me unawares, completely out of nowhere, and I'm not sure how we were supposed to put it together either, which is, again, another reason I rated it a little bit lower. But I'm definitely invested in this series, and you will see more of it, because if you've seen my series to continue video, this is one of the series I hope to continue in 2023. So you'll be seeing more of the Paws and Claws mystery series in the future. Then I read Goldie Vance Volume 4. And this follows Goldie, who works in a hotel, and it's like historical fiction, and it's a graphic novel series, and she also does detective work on the side. And in this one, there is a festival, like music festival coming up, and she realizes that something nefarious may be going on involving the music festival and kind of has to get to the bottom of it. I gave this 3.75 stars. I definitely thought this one was interesting. But not as interesting as some of the others in the series. I'm very curious to see what happens in the next one, because I've heard from people who've read the next one that the tone completely changes. It's, I believe, written by somebody else, and it, by a lot of people, is just not considered canon because it just completely loses everything that makes the first 4 volumes amazing. So I'm very curious to see what my thoughts are on the next volume. This one had some interesting intrigue, and I think I would have enjoyed it more had I been physically reading it, but I was reading the ebook, and ebook graphic novels are very, very, very tricky to read, especially considering I'm reading them on my phone, and it just means you never really get to take in the whole page and the whole scene. So, yeah. But I wasn't going to shell out just for the one volume, because I don't think this is a series that I enjoy enough to want to, like, own. That being said, it wasn't my favorite, but I did still enjoy it. Then I read Rise of the Jumbies, and I gave this 3.75 stars. I had a lot of 3-star reads this week. This follows Corinne, and in the first one, she basically has to deal with these zombies. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I read the first one. But in this one, kids start to go missing, and she ends up having to kind of look into that, and people are worried that the zombies are involved again. I really like Corinne's relationship with her father, and I really like her relationship with her friends. I like seeing how that kind of plays out and how both of those relationships are important to this novel. I really like Corinne as the main character. She is fascinating, and I love seeing how she goes about handling these missing kids and the obstacles that are thrown her way. I like the way this ended and the way this book tied up, and I'm very curious to see what happens in book 3 and if it ties into the way this book ended or if it'll kind of be its own kind of plot. I definitely did enjoy this, and I think I probably would have enjoyed it more had I reread the first one first, because I only have vague memories of the first one. So maybe before the third one, I'll reread both of these to prepare for the third one. But then again, the reason I chose this one is because it came out of my jar, so I didn't have a lot of say in the matter. But we'll see. Either way, I enjoyed it and would definitely be down to do a reread at some point, and I will absolutely read book 3 at some point as well. And then the last book I finished is Death in the Park by London Levitt. This is a winter cover, so I won't be talking about it here, but I wanted to note that I did read it. It is also my Buzzwordathon pick for Life or Death in the title, so I did get to that. As for books I'm in the midst of, I don't think I read any more of The Longest Day. It's not that I'm not enjoying it, it's that once I finish it, I'm done. And I'm not... It definitely feels like we're going to be wrapping up with Calic and Lusa and Toklo, and I'm not ready to leave the characters, so I think I'm kind of putting off reading the last bit of the book because I'm not ready to be done with these characters. So I will probably get back to it hopefully next week. We'll see. Then I'm partway through The Witch, the Sword, and the Cursed Knights. I'm on page 214, and we have 2 POVs. We have Cad, who is from the regular world, and he gets drafted to be one of the Knights of the Round Table, and basically knows that there are people who are coming after his family, and so he really needs to be this knight because it's the only way he can protect his family. And then we have Ellie. Yes, Ellie, who is part fairy, part witch, and she's only ever wanted to be a fairy godmother. And unfortunately, witches are considered evil, so she's kind of had to hide that about herself and never embrace it. And she ends up also getting drafted to be one of the Knights of the Round Table, which she absolutely doesn't want because she wants to be a fairy godmother. And she ends up meeting Cad, and together they're hoping they can figure out what is going on and break the curse that happens to be going on, which will hopefully allow Ellie to be the fairy godmother she's always wanted to be because she'll be granting Cad's greatest wish and will allow Cad to protect his family. I really enjoy both Cad and Ellie. They are 2 very, very different characters, and it is interesting to see their reactions to one another and the way that they're kind of bringing out different characteristics in the other one. I'm very intrigued in the storyline. Like, I want to know what this curse is. I want to know why it targeted Cad and Cad's family. I want to know what is so bad about being a witch and whether Ellie is able to kind of overcome that. I'm very curious to see how this book wraps up. It's definitely got me intrigued and feels like it should be in the 4-star range, but we'll see. And then the last book I've made progress on is The Faceless Ones by Derek Landy. So this is the 3rd book, I believe, in the Skullduggery Pleasant series, and in the series we're following Val, who is a teenager who goes on these missions with Skullduggery Pleasant, who is a skeleton detective kind of person. And there's a lot of I don't know if supernatural is the right word, but like stuff you wouldn't find in our world kind of beings that she has to deal with. And there's a lot of humor in these books. I've really enjoyed reading them because they make me chuckle. The audiobooks are fantastic. Highly recommend the audiobooks. There have been a few characters whose voices on the audiobooks have made shivers run up my spine. It's fantastic. I like the way this is described because I don't think it necessarily gives anything away. It says, if you've read the other Skullduggery books by Derek Landy, and you really should have read them by now, You've seen it all before. Some bad guy wants to bring about the end of the world, and Skullduggery and Valkyrie fight valiantly to stop it from happening. A few people get hurt, sure, but everything's alright in the end. Well, not this time. I'm very curious as to how the well not this time is going to be, but I'm on page 224, so hopefully I should be able to finish this one relatively soon as well. This is another series to continue. I have tried to make it a point to kind of break it down so that I'm reading a book from each of the series every month, because I really want to actually complete all 5 series this year, so I'm kind of trying to set myself up for success. We'll see if it works. But I'm really excited to be back with Val and Skullduggery, and like I said, there's been a lot of humorous moments, some spine-tingling moments with, like, the voices. I adore the audiobooks and this series, and I'm very curious to see how Skullduggery and Val are going to get out of the mess they found themselves in this time. So, yeah. Like I said, I ended up reading a lot more than I thought I did. It's just that, like, the main book I was reading, I feel like it's taking me forever to make progress in, so it felt like I hadn't read anything. And then, like I said, I stacked all of these up and went, oh, yeah, I have read quite a bit this week, haven't I? It probably doesn't help that a good chunk of it I've read in the last couple of days. Like, I read Goldie Vance, The Rise of the Jumbies, and Death in the Park in, like, the last 48 hours. So I kind of tacked 3 books there onto the end, and I made all of my progress with Skullduggery today, and a good chunk of my progress in this today. So a lot of it was reading all of it at the very end there. So I hadn't read as much in the beginning of the week, but I think it was a better week than I thought it was, and honest to God, I had to double check several times that this was a book I didn't finish last week, because it feels like I read it, like, ages ago. It does not help that with all of the vlogs I've edited, it's like, I have all of these different books in my head, and all these different books I've been talking about, because I'm talking about books I read at, like, Christmas, so, like, 3 weeks ago? So that isn't helping with, like, the looking at my books going, did I really read this week? So hopefully I will be caught up on that by next week. I think with the schedule I'm on, if I can stick with it and keep editing, I should be caught up by the end of next week, which would be fantastic, because I haven't been caught up in a long, long time. So, yeah. I think I'm going to wrap this vlog up here, because I can feel this one trying to climb up my chair again, because God forbid she let me be in any videos without her, huh, Cielo? You silly, silly kitty. Yeah. So, yeah. That's it for this week's vlog. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me flame emojis in honor of Flame in the Mist. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!